You are listening to KEPW LP 97.3 FM in Eugene, Oregon, and streaming online at kepw.org. Welcome to Stardust Explained Season 2, Episode 1, because it's been far too long to just pick back up onto a 7th episode. Good afternoon, and welcome back to this little part of the Earth. Almost 47 and a half years ago, the unmanned spacecraft Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 were launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida, each aboard their own Titan Centaur rockets. They were designed by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Their mission? To exploit a rare alignment of the outermost planets Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, in order to explore each world and their accompanying moons in a series of flybys over the course of 2 decades. In my humble opinion, and in the general public's opinion, these 2 probes carried out the single most influential scientific mission of all time. Before them, hardly anything was known of the gas giants. Data gathered by each probe helped future missions such as Galileo, Juno, and Cassini. As for Uranus and Neptune, Voyager 2 remains the only spacecraft to have ever explored either planet.
It is one of the most significant achievements by mankind. NASA says that Voyager 1 has become the first man-made object to reach interstellar space, the cold, dark region between stars, far from the influence of our sun.
And yet, despite all of this, these 2 probes are famous for another reason entirely, unrelated to anything they found in the outer solar system. For each Voyager carries a disk with them attached to their sides, 12 inches or 30 centimeters across. The discs are made out of copper, plated in gold, each with a cover of aluminum electroplated in ultra-pure radioactive uranium. Engraved onto the covers are a collection of odd symbols, lines and circles and zigzags that wouldn't make any sense if you showed them to someone on the street. If you remove the aluminum cover, you are presented with the copper disc inside. In the middle of the disc is a title, The Sounds of Earth, Side 1, United States of America, Planet Earth. Engraved in the final grooves of this disc is an inscription. To the makers of music, all worlds, all times. These are the Voyager Golden Records. The copper discs are metal phonograph records containing sounds and images of our planet, our place in space, and our species. The symbols on the front of the record establish units of both time and length, and then use those units along a depiction of the record being played by the stylus next to the records on each Voyager. These units of time measured at 3.6 seconds, the intended playback time for 1 revolution of the record, and another time measurement of about 90 minutes, the total runtime of the record. If the stylus is placed correctly, as shown on the cover, and if the record is played at 1 revolution per 3.6 seconds, as shown on the cover, the listener will first be greeted by the voice of Kurt Waldheim, the Secretary General of the United Nations when this record was made in 1977.
As the Secretary General of the United Nations, an organization of 147 member states who represent almost all of the human inhabitants of the planet Earth, I send greetings on behalf of the people of our planet. We step out of our solar system into the universe seeking only peace and friendship, to teach if we are called upon, to be taught if we are fortunate. We know full well that our planet and all its inhabitants are but a small part of this immense universe that surrounds us, and it is with humility and hope that we take this step.
Right now, as of June 2025, that greeting is on 2 twin records, 13 and 15.5 billion miles away from us respectively. That English greeting, along with 55 others in 55 other human languages,
Paz e felicidade a todos.
Здравствуйте, приветствую вас.
พวกเราในธรณีนี้ขอส่งมิตรจิตมาถึงท่านทุกคน
Bonjour tout le monde.
Maya Lakmia.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
This includes another English greeting from Nick Sagan, who was 6 at the time of recording his message. After the spoken greetings and a song from a humpback whale, the record starts to play sounds. Crickets, birds, frogs, elephants, dogs. The use of tools, a bus, a cart, a rocket, a human mother's first words to her child,
Oh, come on now. Be good boy.
the brainwaves of Androyan, who was at the time trying her best to think of Earth, life, human ideas and civilization, and the dire state of the world. At the end, she permitted herself to think about falling in love. After the sounds was, of course, the music section. Can't be a good record without music. Songs included are Symphony No. 5 by Beethoven, a night chant from the Navajo tribe in North America, a men's house song from the Nara clan in Papua New Guinea, Johnny Be Good by Chuck Berry, and Dark Was the Night, Cold Was the Ground by Blind Willie Johnson. On the other side of the record are encoded images. If the zigzag instructions on the cover are interpreted as sound waves being converted into black and white images, sound dictating pixel brightness, they will see a slideshow of 116 images. Some of those images really being 3 versions of the same image split across red, green, and blue filters for a combination into a color image. The first image is a circle, used for calibration and to signal to the listener that they followed the decoding steps correctly. The next few images establish our number system, basic math, and use that math to give the listener our units, such as seconds, years, meters, and grams. With these tools, the records get to explaining. The next images give a chart of our solar system, describing each planet as two numbers of distance, the planet's size and distance from the sun, one mass number, the mass of the planet, and one time number, describing how long one day is for each planet. This chart image is split into two, the first image showing the sun and the four rocky planets, the second image showing four gas giants and Pluto. The depictions of the planets themselves on this chart are simple hollow circles of varying sizes, with Saturn and Uranus having lines across them to show their rings. Earth, the third circle from the star, is the only circle filled in, dictating that this is the planet we live on. The records don't just explain our solar system. After these images play, more diagrams describe the elements hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon, with their proton count beside them, effectively giving them our format for writing the elements. These are used to denote the ratio of elements at different layers in our planet, as well as give the structure of deoxyribonucleic acid, DNA, a constant of Earth life. Beyond the diagrams, real photograph images are encoded onto the record, some monochrome and some color encoded, though these are less common, being 3 times larger than regular images. Monochromes include pictures of hunting, a family, a sperm cell fertilizing an egg cell, the surfaces of Mercury, Mars, and the atmosphere of Jupiter, classical sheet music, a page from Isaac Newton's book System of the World, and more. Color images include pictures of Earth from space, our atmosphere from space, the light spectrum of the sun, a living room with decorations, and a mother feeding her newborn, and more. Ever since the records were launched aboard the Voyagers, there's never been a time capsule in space that has come close to eclipsing them. Which is interesting to me because these things were launched with technology from nearly 50 years ago, and the people that made the records only had a few weeks to come up with something better than a few scribbles on a sheet of metal. So this begs the question, is a metal record the best way to encode information about us, given the new technology that we have? To start with, no, they are not the most effective way to store data. It should be noted that electronic storage data cannot survive in space because of the harsh radiation, while metal can last for billions of years. Still, there are durable materials that are far more efficient than a photograph record. For example, silicon. Fused quartz glass is capable of holding quote-unquote dots of data measured in 5 dimensions. 3 dimensions of space, 1 of size, and 1 of lattice orientation. Not only can the crystal last for tens of billions of years, it can store 360 terabytes of data in 1 Blu-ray-sized disc, about 1 million times more data than what the golden records have. But there is a downside to this method of storage. The decoding process is difficult. An entire optical machine is needed to read the bytes inside the crystal, and something like this would be completely impractical to put on a deep space probe. Not only would it be an absurd increase in the probe's mass, but after a few short thousand years in space, all the moving parts would be eroded beyond functionality, rendering the cubes impossible to translate. The genius of the record and stylus is that there are few moving parts, so the harsh environment of interstellar space doesn't have many opportunities to destroy the data storage device nor its container. Instead of requiring any sort of decoding device, just have physical sheets of metal and carve your images into those like photographs. The immediate downside of this is that you are limited to drastically less data than with a record. In order to have the best chance at being understood and surviving erosion from galactic dust lanes, physical pictograms on the spacecraft should be large-ish, yet small enough to compact as much data as possible. Basically, for a sheet of aluminum the same size as the record itself, you can only write down as much data as one of the record's encoded images. Each record has 116 encoded images. Now, some of you might have found a solution already. The best solution to all of this is to have quartz crystals containing the data, and have the record aboard the spacecraft completely dedicated to explaining how to construct a decoder from scratch. If both sides of the record are used for monochrome images instead of sound or music, the 116 image count rises to 312 possible images, if made just like the golden records. And instead of having the cover use a full quarter of its precious surface area for a map to Earth's location in the galaxy, That space is used to further disambiguate any confusion and clearly explain how to play the record to begin with. Ultimately, this is a three-stage process. First, the cover is decoded to interpret how to play and read the phonograph record. Then, the record images are decoded to interpret how to navigate and read the crystal. Finally, the 5 cubic centimeter crystal's entire petabyte of data is decoded into whatever we wanted to put in the thing. And we can encode a lot of stuff onto that thing, a lot more than you think. So you might be asking why we can't do this. Why can't we have each of the 3 options on board one spacecraft, each stage revealing more and more information? The answer is that you can. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's like the most logical. This has been on my mind a lot lately. The fact that we can literally send all of human knowledge out into the universe in a series of identical time capsules with current technological means, and yet we haven't, doesn't sit right with me. It feels dumb, you know? So I've been working on a little pet project. I have a whiteboard in my room, and right now it's half filled out with the conceptual design of a probe specifically designed for acting as a time capsule. All of the dry mass is entirely dedicated to keeping the data inside safe and secure on its long voyage through interstellar space. My current rough draft calls for a cylindrical body design with 18 phonograph records that come in 3 copies for redundancy and for symmetry. On one end of the probe body is an opening, allowing access to the interior where the records are held. On the other side, inside, is a set of over 2,000 glass cubes measuring 5 centimeters along their sides, held in place by a lightweight lattice frame, and organized by their contents. In between the 6 rows of phonograph records are physical samples taken from Earth, including rock, soil, frozen water, biological matter, any other materials. The outside of the probe may have scientific instruments from when we launched it and sent it past a few planets to pick up speed, but the main focus is a simplistic exterior decorated in symbols, markings, zigzags, and other pictograms that should be decipherable by anyone in the universe who can recognize them as an attempt to communicate. The exterior may have other features, such as extended reflective sheets that allow it to be detectable from a great distance, but emphasis is on the whole. In all, such a probe would have a cylindrical shape with a length of 2 meters and a diameter of 1.5 meters. There are 3 decode stages and additional samples of Earth, as mentioned. The end goal is to give the alien discoverers all the tools they need to reconstruct a significant fraction of our complicated world. The glass cubes are capable of storing hundreds of thousands of terabytes in encoded data. And with this much storage, you can do a lot of things, as I said. Things that I'm sure Carl Sagan and his team could only dream of when they could only record 90 minutes of audio and design 1 pictogram set back in 1977. Season 2 of Stardust Explained will focus on this message in a bottle idea. Believe me, this simple tin can design raises a lot of important moral, philosophical, strategical, existential, and generally fascinating questions about ourselves. What do we do when we could put so much out into space to be found? What do we send? What do we not send? To give you just a small taste of how deep and profound this discussion can get, here's a relevant fun fact. 1 single cube can store over 1 million gigabytes. The entire human genome measures just 3 gigabytes. That's over 300,000 copies of people's individual DNA sequences in 1 cube out of 2,000. Not to mention potential instructions needed to use that DNA to grow a clone of the person whose DNA you took, or encode their brain map and download their memories onto the clone once they've grown into an adult scale human, if we even understand how clones work at that point. I'm getting a little bit off topic here. Interstellar messages haven't been done justice in our society. I know that many of you listening have never heard of a metal phonograph record or even the Voyagers themselves. And that's a sad reality, because they can teach us so much about ourselves. See, again, in my still humble opinion, the golden records aren't meant for aliens. That isn't the point. They were meant for us. how would you represent Earth in just 90 minutes? It's a question that directly reveals who you are. If you only have an hour and a half, knowing that most of what you want to put on there will have to be cut, you're forced to decide what is most important. Not only that, but you have to make a second choice that says even more about you. Which of those most important things do you not want to preserve? What do your feelings say should be left forgotten? We'll continue this next Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Make sure to tune in every week to catch a new episode. Yes, that is right. I'm going to push as hard as I can to put out a new episode every week. Sorry for the multi-month waits during the whole intermission era. Now that it's summertime, I have plenty of time to make these. And, of course, thank you for coming on this journey with me. You're listening to KEPW LP 97.3 FM in Eugene, Oregon, and streaming online at KEPW.Congratulations, Class of 25, KEPW.org.